Hey, welcome. Ever stop to think about how tiny little shifts in the way we speak English can make a massive difference in how we're understood? Well, today we're going to dive into a few really fascinating examples that can help you bridge the gap between different English dialects and just make your message pop with clarity.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a quick question for you. If you need a duplicate of a document, what's your go-to phrase? Do you say you need to photocopy it, or do you make a copy of it? Your answer might just say a little something about your linguistic background, and it's the perfect way to kick things off.
Now, before we get any further, I want to make something super clear. Filipino English is a completely valid, rich dialect all on its own. The whole point of this explainer isn't about correcting anything. Not at all. It's about alignment. It's about fine-tuning certain phrases to mesh with American English, just to boost that clarity, especially when you're in an international setting.
All right, let's get into our first one. This is a phrase you have definitely used probably 100 times in your emails and meetings, the follow-up.
So, you might be used to saying something like, "I'll make a follow-up." It's super common. But in standard American English, you're more likely to hear someone say simply, "I'll follow up." Now, it seems like a tiny change, right? But there's actually a pretty neat grammatical reason behind it.
And here's the secret. In American English, follow up, two separate words, is the action. It's the verb. It's something you do. Now, the thing itself, the actual email or the call you're about to make, that's the follow-up with a hyphen. So you can't really make an action, which is why make a follow-up can sound just a little bit off to a native speaker.
Let's look at how this plays out. If you're using it as an action, you just say, "I'll follow up with the client." See? Simple, direct. But if you do want to talk about it as a thing, just add that hyphen and be specific, like, "I'll make a follow-up call." Both of those are absolutely perfect.
Okay, moving on to our second phrase. This one is all about context, and I mean literally where you are. Your physical location when you say this can completely change what it means.
So, picture this. Someone says, "I just arrived from the office," and you're left kind of scratching your head. Arrived where? At home? Did they get back to the office after a meeting? That little bit of ambiguity is exactly what we can clear up with a simple tweak.
So here's how you add that crystal clear context. It all comes down to where you are right now. If you've just kicked off your shoes at your front door, you'd say, "I just got home from the office." But if you're messaging a coworker to let them know you're at your desk, you'd say, "I just arrived at the office." See the difference? That little preposition, from versus at, changes everything.
And for our last one today, let's circle right back to that question I asked you at the very beginning. It's about a super common request you hear in just about every office on the planet. So we've got "Can I photocopy this?" versus "Can I make a copy of this?" What's really going on here? Is one of these flat out wrong?
And this is what I think is so cool about language. The word photocopy is a perfectly good verb. It's grammatically correct. But this isn't about grammar. It's about what's common. Native American English speakers are just way more likely to say, "Can I make a copy?" or even shorten it to, "Can I copy this?" It just sounds a little more natural and casual.
Okay, that was a lot, but they're all super useful. Let's do a really quick recap just to lock these in. So remember, instead of make a follow-up, just use the action verb follow up. When you're talking about arriving, be specific about your location, got home from or arrived at. And for that office machine, try swapping photocopy for the more everyday phrase make a copy. These little swaps, they pack a really big punch. And that's really the big takeaway here. This isn't about being right or wrong. It's about fine-tuning. Making these subtle shifts can help your English flow more naturally, and, this is the most important part, make sure your ideas land with absolute clarity, no matter who you're talking to. So, as we wrap up, I've got a question for you. Which of these little adjustments kind of clicked for you? Is there one you think you can try out in your next email or your next conversation? Just picking one to focus on is a fantastic way to start building that habit and boosting your clarity.